span of 5,000 years, he wrote this word called the Bible, that you would have instructions of a love letter of how he cares deeply for you. Can I say that again? He cares deeply for you. It's not by chance you're here breathing on this earth. It's not by some cosmo of chaos and disorder and a germ came to be a human being. That's not how it worked. God said that you can look at nature and day after day it utters forth speech, and night to night it reveals knowledge. That his handiwork, the stars that God flicked into existence, that he flicked into existence to make this beautiful world for you. But that wasn't nothing. The stars, the nature itself, the trees. He said, I made you more special than any other creature that you know of. Because when I made you with a conscience. No other creature in the world has a conscience like a human being, because you were made like God's likeness. You were made in the likeness of God, the Creator, who created the heavens and earth. Most people have a problem with Genesis 1:1, and so it reflects on how they think of the God of Christianity. But the Bible says, Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created time, space, and matter. And there it was, the universe was into existence. And it's there that you had a free will to choose where you want to spend your life in eternity. This life here is just a spectrum. If you think this life is gorgeous, if you've seen the greatest dams or waterfalls, if you've seen the highest of peaks and mountains and thought you could just sit there and be at awe and at peace with nature, think what it must be like to be in heaven with God. And you say, well, how do you know there's a heaven? Jesus says, I go. Do not lose heart. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come back to receive you to myself. He says, in my house there are many mansions, many dwelling places. And if it wasn't so, he wouldn't have told you. But Jesus told you that there are many mansions, many dwelling places stored for you one day. And that he's going to come back and receive you unto himself. But you see, guys, Jesus is a radical person when he came down here on earth. Because Jesus drew the line on the sand. And when he drew that line, he said, listen, John 14:6, Jesus said, out of all the religions, you might think there's many ways to get to heaven. You might think there's many ways to know God, but Jesus came and he said, I am the way and the truth and the life. And no one can come to God or to heaven but through me. And he's the good shepherd. You see, you know a shepherd takes care of his sheep. If you look at sheep, they're always watching out for where the shepherd's going, because they know the voice of the shepherd, and they hear his voice, and they know their shepherd. And it says that as the shepherd opens the gate, the door, for the sheep to come in, that if it's another person acting like a hireling, acting like they're a shepherd, but they're really not a shepherd, that the sheep will hear the voice and they won't go to that door. They won't go to that gate because they know that it isn't their shepherd. Well, if you have Jesus in your life today, if you ask Jesus to be a part of your life, you hear the good shepherd. And the good shepherd is Jesus Christ, and he is the door. And the reason why he says he's the door is because that's the way you get to heaven, is through him. And you would hear his voice. You see, the Bible is full of all kinds of allegories, all kinds of symbolism. But people like to say, how do you know the Bible's true? How do you know the Bible's real? I want you to know that the Bible, it's called the Antiquity, the Bible, because it's made of a history book. And the antiquities of history of the whole world. Do you realize that the Bible has more manuscripts than any religion in the world? We have more science than any religion in the world. It was Job who said that the earth hangs on nothing. That was Job. Job said that on a clay tablet of stone 3,000 years ago. that you might know that it was God breathed, the Bible, that God wrote the Bible, breathing through men, the scriptures, using their personalities.